view and focus on the game at hand. And we'll be watching Andre Drummond tonight. Guys, we've seen him grow from a raw prospect into a powerhouse on the stat sheet. How good can he get?
I don't like talking about myself, but he reminds me of the younger me. With all
What do you mean you
20...
don't like talking about yourself?
Anyway, I don't like talking about myself, but he reminds me of a younger me with all these 20 and 20 games.
Okay.
But the difference is he doesn't really need the ball to get good looks, and he cleans up the misses for others. He's a rebounding machine. I never really did that.
But he has the physicality, Chuck, and the size to become a dominant player. I don't know if he's on your level yet, but if he sharpens his skills a little bit more, you know, he's got about 4-year window to do it. He can possibly have some SLNs. You know what that is, right?
Shaq like numbers, baby.
Yeah, does he, you know he has a nickname?
What?
Superman!
No.
It's an All-Eastern Conference matchup in today's game as the Celtics come into town for this one. I'm Kevin Harlan, joined by the talented analyst tandem of Greg Anthony and Chris Webber. David Aldridge is on our sideline. And for the Pistons, we've got another home. And David Aldridge is standing by for our pregame report. David, good evening.
Well, Stan Van Gundy remains one of the most...
At times, a contentious relationship between Howard and Van Gundy, but you see the respect there, sir. B.A., thank you. And, Chris, would you say at this point in the season, teams know what their strengths and weaknesses are?
Well, if they don't know right now, they're going to be in trouble.
Ready, gentlemen? Ready?
So Detroit will get the first possession. And now the opening lineup for Boston. Thomas is the point with Bradley. To his side. Tyler Zeller out there with Johnson. And it's Crowder in at the 3 slot. Here's Prez with nobody on him. He buries the jumper.
Stay loose.
And Prez scores from anywhere, inside, outside. This guy does it all.
Thomas with the ball, and Young picks him up defensively. Poked away. Johnson dishes to Bradley. Clock at 6. Here's Crowder. Not really his range, and it's off target. Boston on D, outplayed in the previous game on their schedule, losing to the Raptors.
Probably their poorest defensive effort all season long. I mean, at home, that kind of D is not going to cut it. Never mind when you're on the road.
Well, yeah, they gave up a ton of open looks. As the shots kept dropping, the place just kept getting louder.
Johnson outside. Pick by Zeller. Bradley, no one around him. That's good, and it's Johnson with the assist. Bradley's got himself on the board with 3 there. There's the dish to Prez. From about 16, and Detroit again with the bucket.
And Prez is just a master of the mid-range. Whether he's open or covered, he nails these shots consistently.
Here's Thomas. Good defensive work there by Young.
He may have been trying to work too hard to draw the foul as a result. He misfired on that one.
Here's Prez. Dishes to Drummond. Basket counts. Drummond's got his first 2 points of the night.
Oh, man, they've taken 4 shots and made all of them. Terrific way to start off this one.
In the corner, Crowder with it. Prez brings the double team. And here's Bradley from 3. And again, Boston with the triple. And you look back, Chris, at the teams that Stan Van Gundy has coached in the past, each one of them were considered contenders for so long.
Well, the job of turning things around here in Detroit has been nothing short of spectacular. Finally see a miss there after hitting their first 4 shots of the game.
Thomas against Young. Here's Zeller, and the jam by Tyler Zeller.
That's just the vision of Thomas, spotting the open man and delivering the ball on time and on target.
Prez kicks to Harris. Here's Prez. Misses the 3. Boston trailing. Feeds to Zeller. Passes to Bradley. Here's Johnson. Got a piece of it. And the ball goes out of bounds. Last touch by Young. And a chance to compare steals versus fouls over the last 5 games and the season as a whole for Levens.
And what that trend over the last 5 games tells me is that he's gotten a little bit out of control at the defensive end. You like to see guys going for steals and trying to make an impact with their D, but when it leads to the foul numbers blowing up, that impact becomes a negative one.
Here's Thomas. And no good. Had a chance to take the lead. Detroit's gone 1 of 3 from beyond the arc so far in the game. Drummond passes to Prez. Young in the corner. And first quarter, we're about 3.5 minutes in. And there's the pass to Prez. Gets to the rim for 2 with the D all over him. Prez has got 6 points.
Sorry, you can't D up Prez. Much better than that. He's just remarkable at hitting those difficult shots.
All right, bring it in. Let's talk, gentlemen. Hey, if we let up on D even a little, it's enough to get their guy going.
Well, one of the best, a great tradition and history of winning, a passionate and knowledgeable fan base. Committed.
Celtics trail by 5. On the court for the Celtics, second quarter underway. Thomas and Smart, the feisty backcourt pairing. Brown and Crowder are your forward pair. And it's Johnson in at the pivot spot, manning the middle. Celtics passing it around. Just 5 on the clock. From deep three-point range. Whoops, there's the 24-second shot clock violation, so they'll turn it over. And now let's highlight the deadliest deep threats to come into the NBA this season on our rookie leaderboard. Trez, number 1.
With the way he shot the ball from long range, he's earned his reputation as the top marksman of his class.
And on our sideline, our reporter, David Aldridge.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, Prez in their last game against the Hornets was tremendous. He scored 23 points and was just as productive at the defensive end, coming up with a number of steals. His performance really helped his team continue its win streak. They're clearly playing well of late, and they'd like that streak to continue. Kevin?
Thanks for the report, David. You had to just marvel, guys, at what he was able to do that night, didn't you?
You know what? It was the game of basketball being played at its highest level. No question who their MVP was in that win.
Oh, well, let's see if he gets special attention now by the defense. You know, obviously they saw what we saw, but how much did they try to take away from him early on?
And lots of contact there. Missing the shot. He'll shoot 2.
And in a draft class full of great wing players, it is easy to sleep on Jaylen Brown. But he can become a great player. Has everything you want from a wing in terms of skill set and that physicality. He could have a ceiling just as high as anybody else in this draft.
2 shots.
That free throw, no good. And you look at Jaylen Brown. He can go at the rim, pull up to shoot, plays good D. If his jumper gets a little more consistent, he can be scary.
Yeah, and that is what this team was hoping for when they drafted it. Just looking at the areas that he needs to work on, they are all, I think, correctable things. He's going to put up a lot of highlights over the course of his career.
And the second free throw, good. Well, with a look at today's rosters, you'll see a veteran or two acting as a mentor on a team for young players. Chris, all teams want them. They need them for that balance. You've been on both ends of that relationship. Just how important is that for a young player?
It is very important. You know, when you think about the word fear, fear mostly is what you anticipate about the unknown. And for a lot of young players, you know, they just don't know what to expect. They just don't know what habits to have. They just have never been in this situation before. And they're going to figure it out regardless if anyone helps them or not. But just think about how it just helps the learning curve and how it speeds up the pace when you have someone that can tell you from their perspective how to approach games or how to prepare for games, how to recover, how to treat your body, how to play this guy. I know coach said this, but you might want to try this if that doesn't work. You know, and I think that's probably one of the most underrated and depleted spaces on the team are guys that can be that third coach on the team, but with the jersey on. And so I think it's very important to have guys in those mentor-type positions just because they've had to go through what these players have gone through. Not just coach, but they've had to go through it and can tell it from a player's perspective.
Great points. Chris, who do you think is the most versatile player in the league?
Wow, that's a great question. I think you have to just go with LeBron. LeBron is the most versatile player because we're not only talking about can he play point guard, can he play power forward, can he pass, can he dribble, but he can also play defense. And so we mentioned two-way players a lot, but we don't.
Nice job, Orange Juice. Hustle up, take a seat. I love the energy, fellas. I really do. But now we got to keep it up and stay focused. Do not give them any life out there. Understood? We got this.
And Chris, with Harris and his activity, it's not unusual to see a player that is as active as him move the way he does. But it is unusual to see a player with that strength and build do it so easily.
Well, Kevin, he sort of reminds you of Sean Marion. That's the Matrix. He has a diverse skill set, gives you a little bit of everything on the offensive end.
And a different look here for the Pistons. Lewis checked in for Prez. Marcus Morris comes in for Harris. Reggie Jackson's checked in for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And Smith subbed in for Young. Then for the Celtics, Zeller, he's checked in for Johnson. Urebko comes in for Brown. And it's Rozier in for Isaiah Thomas. Celtics trail by 13, and it's time for an injury report.
He said he turned his ankle, and it is definitely starting to swell up.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate you finding out how he's doing.
And you know, I know everyone is rooting for him to make a quick and full recovery.
You're right. We know he's a baller, a competitor, and he'll do everything within his power to return to the court as soon as possible.
Here's Rozier, covered by Smith, and it's Rozier missing.
Yeah, but you have to love that tough interior defense.
That is phenomenal work down there in the thick of it. This is the kind of D you want to see from him every time down the court.
He gets a chance now to catch up with the fourth member of our crew, Hall of Famer David Aldridge.
Well, guys, the Pistons raised a few eyebrows when they took Stanley Johnson with the 8th pick overall in 2015. Now, he's a great, great athlete, but some thought there were better basketball prospects available. But Stan Van Gundy says what you've got to bank on is a player's work ethic and commitment to being great. There's just something about him. He is a great, great competitor. Kevin?
And he's built like a tank. DA, thanks. Thank you very much. Zeller against Drummond. And foul called as he misses. He'll go to the line and shoot two.
And Drummond is a huge, powerful presence on the block. He has no problem getting physical down low.
This is his first trip to the line tonight.
Not the best statistic for him in terms of his performance at the line. Very low numbers.
Two.
And he can't get the first one.
Detroit has had such a rich history with the Pistons, and there have been so many great players to put on the blue and red. Just think about it. Guys from the Bad Boys era like Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. Even further back with guys like Bob Lanier.
Looking at who's out there now for the Celtics. Gerald Green, he's checked in for Crowder. And Smart subbed in for Bradley. And so we conclude the first half. It's Detroit as they wrap up the second quarter with an energy burst, a 19-6 run. It's the NBA on 2K Sports from the Palace of Auburn Hills.
Good work, guys. Nicely done. Where do you guys want to go after the game? Burgers or tacos? I kind of want to go tacos. Hey, this is what happens when we play our brand of basketball. They cannot stop us. Do not let up, gentlemen. Play with the same enthusiasm, and let's get this W.
And welcome back to the Motor City with a look at the giant fist of Detroit legend Joe Louis. And as we begin the second half, first half wasn't even close, guys, and we'll see if there is a comeback on our hands or more of the same as we get the third quarter started. We're seeing a tremendous game from Prez.
And he really just broke out the entire arsenal of post moves there in that first half.
Yeah, great activity in the painted area. Lots of energy. Looking to score almost every time he got the ball.
And the Celtics with possession here. 15-point game. Their last encounter was in Boston.
And their last time against this club, they really fell short at the free throw line.
Our second half of basketball and presented by Gatorade. Let's see who's all fueled up and on the floor to start the third. And Detroit looking at who they've got. On the wings, Caldwell, Pope, and Harris. Prez out there with Andre Drummond. And it's Young in at the point guard position. Celtics trail by 17.